Welcome to the Learning Beyond Letter Grades module dedicated to digital badges for learning. In this module, you'll have an opportunity to learn about digital badges, and we're going to focus on four main questions. The first question is simply, what are the benefits of digital badges for learning? The second, what are the limits of digital badges for learning? Third, what contributes to a badge's value, or what gives a badge value? And then the fourth question is, what are the ways that digital badges could be used in learning environments or are being used in digital learning environments? So let's take a journey through those first few questions. What is a digital badge? I'll simply challenge you to think about Boy Scout badges, for example, where Boy Scouts earn a badge for demonstrated skill or knowledge that they've demonstrated in some particular way. That's what we're talking about here with badges, but now they're digital badges. So they're badges that can be earned and distributed in a digital format. So let's start then with the benefits of digital badges. The first one, and I'm going to use the acronym BADGES to talk about 6 benefits. The first one is B for breakdown. Badges allow you the opportunity to break down the learning into discrete bits of knowledge and skill. In other words, learners can earn a badge for each bit of knowledge or each discrete skill. Badges can be very, very narrow, or they can be more broad in certain instances as well. But they do allow, when one desires, to break down the learning in those discrete bits. A second one, A, is for aggregation. Now, imagine that you wanted to earn some badges in different places. You went to one organization that demonstrated badges related to technology skills, and another organization distributed badges for communication skills, and yet another one distributed badges for a completely different skill set related to financial literacy or information literacy. Now imagine, how do you demonstrate that you've learned all those things? You could direct people to all the different places that display the badges, or you could actually aggregate all of those badges into a common place. And there are a number of projects online that are making that possible. So for example, in this particular course, we're using Credly, where people can earn badges from different places and they can go to Credly. You can actually have those badges sent out or displayed on a LinkedIn profile or some other sort of digital portfolio, where you could have badges pulled in from different places, all aggregated. Another one, the D, or the third benefit, would be demonstration. And by demonstration, I mean that badges require a learner to demonstrate what they do or don't know, or to demonstrate a particular skill before they earn the badge. So the assessment and the measurement, it's directly related and requires people to demonstrate what they actually have learned about a specific element. Another benefit that people talk about is the G, or gamification. Badges have a bit of a gaming element. You'll find badge-like attributes in many video games or other types of games, and this allows us to use that sort of game motivation, or that game element, to motivate the achievers in our group. Now, not everyone is motivated by that sense of achievement and that visible evidence of what they've learned, but some people are. And so some people point to that gamification as one affordance or one benefit of digital badges for learning. A fifth one is expiration dates. Now, this is not a feature that has to be used with badges, but it's possible. And let me explain. Imagine that you wanted to have a digital badge for one's skill and ability with CPR. Now, suppose someone took that, earned that badge 18 years ago. Well, do they still know CPR, and do they know its modern versions, right? Do they know the most current practices with CPR? Well, you can set up certificates that expire, and then a person has to renew them. In the same way, you can set up badges that have built into them a 12 or 18 or 24 or 36-month expiration, requiring people to go back and to provide a new demonstration or additional evidence in order to keep that badge or to earn a new one. And that adds a really interesting element to our learning environments. What are the instances where it might be beneficial to have expiration dates on certain skills that require people to renew them? And also, there might be times when you don't want to have an expiration, and that's perfectly possible with badges as well. The next one is S, and that's S for speed. Some people talk about badges as really beneficial because they speed the shift toward assessment and away from grading. As you may have learned in other modules, this may be your first module, but some people criticize letter grades and grades because they measure more or they represent more than just what students do or don't know about a particular body of knowledge or a particular set of skills. They relate to, were you present, did you turn things in on time, did you contribute in certain ways? There are lots of other elements that contribute to what grade a person does or doesn't have. And badges can get more at those discrete skills and discrete bits of knowledge, as mentioned before. And some people argue that this is really beneficial because it helps us make that shift more toward assessment and away from grading. Now, there are some criticisms of badges, and there are more than I'm going to mention, but I'll mention for you 4 particular criticisms. One is that badges are yet another extrinsic motivator. It's the same criticism people sometimes have of letter grades, that people try to pursue the knowledge or the skill in order to earn the grade or in order to earn the badge, but it's not really intrinsic, and it's not something that they're not really focused upon the learning, they're focused on the credential. So badges don't necessarily help us get away from that problem. The second criticism that people have is that they're not trusted credentials. A lot of people don't even know about digital badges, and it's not something that you could provide to many people, and they would look at it and say, oh, okay, that's evidence that you really know what you should know or you have a given skill, because they don't have that kind of a reputation, that sort of a trusted reputation in many environments. A third criticism is that badges miss the big picture. So badges are really good at the trees, but do they represent the forest? I would argue that you can actually build badges that represent the big picture as well. But this is a valid criticism that many badges are focused on those discrete skills and the discrete bits of knowledge, which we argued as, which I mentioned earlier as a benefit. But in the process, they can sometimes miss some of the bigger picture elements of a person's learning that might not be represented in a badge. Another criticism that people have is meaningless badges. This is the Wild West of education right now, and it's definitely the Wild West era of badges and digital badges for learning. So many people are creating badges for many different things, and some of those badges can be earned with minimal skill or knowledge or ability, and others maybe have a great deal of rigor associated with them. So there's a question, how do you know which is which? And that makes it difficult, and that's a criticism. Now, that brings us to the next question then. What gives a badge value? And I'll mention 3 particular things. One is the evidence that's required. So if one provides evidence in order to earn a badge, evidence of what they know, what they can do, and their skill, it's possible to keep that evidence with the badge so that when a person wants to know whether or not this badge has value, they can say, well, what did they have to do in order to earn it? And perhaps there's a link I can click on and it takes me to an actual artifact. So if I want to see if that badge has value, I can actually look at the evidence provided by the person who earned it. And I can say, oh yeah, that's actually impressive work, or that's impressive evidence of a skill. I would have given them a badge for that as well. And that gives the badge some value. The second is that the credibility of the badge issuer or the organization. So if there is a really trusted organization or one that has a great deal of a very positive reputation with a certain group of people or in a given community, then people are more likely to trust that badge and what it represents. A third would be the rigor of the review process. So what sort of standards or criteria are included in order that are listed, and what level of excellence does one have to demonstrate in order to earn a badge, and how carefully is that evidence reviewed and analyzed before the badge is distributed? Making that sort of information available also can give some added value to a badge. So we've talked about 3 of the main questions for this particular module, but you're going to now have a chance to also explore some others. You'll have some additional readings and videos potentially to look at in order to understand this topic further. But I encourage you to also focus on this last question that we haven't addressed yet, which is, what are the possibilities? So how are badges being used effectively or with some hopeful possibility, with some great possibility in learning environments? And what are some new possibilities that you can imagine for digital badges in learning environments that you think could benefit your given learning organization, for example?